In my last video about Half-Life 2 RTX, I gave the mod a try myself and had a look at how the community felt about it, and I got a load of really interesting comments. An insane amount considering the video only had like 10,000 views. Some were positive, some were negative, some were very constructive, and some just wanted Nvidia sent straight to Nova Prospect. But mostly, I was able to really feel where everyone was coming from, and I tried my best to put that across. And in that spirit, there's one or two things I said that I feel need changing or correcting too. Long story short, people felt turning RTX on was like throwing a flashbang, and the game was transformed from dark and gritty to harsh and shitty. While I thought some people were themselves a little bit harsh, I did tend to agree. If you haven't seen the first video yet and you need to catch up, it's well worth a watch before we dive into this. And not just because I made it, but I will disclose that I have a large stake in the Leanify TV channel. A very large stake. But good news, things have changed a little bit. A patch was released on April the 1st, which was unfortunate timing because I was grinding fever cases to flip for stupid money, as well as making a stupidly high effort April Fool's video that no one watched. But one or two very important things have been changed, and I'm happy to say it seems my view of the team behind the game was pretty accurate, even if Nvidia has their claws in this project deeper than I realised. And I think these heartfelt words have curried some favour with the community, even if it really is just PR 101. If it wasn't for the fact that I know that these teams have some wonderful people in them, my doomer instincts might have gotten the better of me. But getting down to brass tacks, I know plenty of you just outright refused to download the mod with how it originally looked, and that file size is no joke. So instead of just going to look at the patch notes and trying to explain it, I know what you're really looking for are some visual examples so you too can enjoy the magic of waiting hours for not even 2 full chapters to play. So with my sunglasses protecting me, I downloaded the patch and booted up the game. Hoping for the best, but thanking Gaben for the past 25 years of relatively good eyesight I've enjoyed, just in case it went wrong. And you know what? The difference is immediately noticeable. While there were some areas that were just stupendously bright before, it really looks like it's been brought down to earth a little bit. The easiest example of this is Grigory's first appearance here, though the smoke still needs a bit of work. I want to see him properly. Well, I suppose it won't matter too much if I just put this obnoxious subscribe button right here. And though it's more subtle in other places, you can really see that it goes a long way. The thing about designing for realism is, well, very small choices can completely make or break this illusion. I think a good rule of thumb is to remove distracting things. For example, the portal to the Nether Grig opened here, so the brain can have as much of a passive experience as possible and really get lost in things. Although there are a bunch of places I think things were off originally, it's no coincidence that most people had the same few things to mention. These are the biggest points at which the illusion was broken. And when that realistic feeling is gone, if your game can't rely on its art direction or its ideas to be compelling, well, you're in trouble. And this being a Half-Life 2 mod, well, it didn't really have much room to do that for itself. So it wasn't looking great for the creators. But judging by the responses I'm seeing from a lot of people, it all seems to be on the up and up, which really does make me happy, because while realistic design is strict, this also means that if everywhere looks a little bit more realistic, it leaves a huge positive impression. But how was this done? Well, for the most part, it looks like the biggest change was the tone mapper. To put it simply, they've adjusted the range of lights and darks. So rather than getting a sort of middling, almost Polaroid look where things are really bright and sometimes washed out, and darks are not really as dark as they should be, you get, well, more what you'd expect. And because of how light works, this isn't just about light or dark, but all the colours we can see. After all, you might have noticed, you can't see colours all that well in the dark. The end result of this change is, in my opinion, much better than before. Seeing how it looks has really filled me with hope for the future of this mod. What an improvement. Some said they couldn't do it, but then what would you call this? Now the mod is of course still pretty far from perfect, but I knew we'd see some big improvements. But some people still just aren't happy. And why is that? Well, I've got 3 basic reasons right here. Firstly, there's a growing bitterness from a lot of players who feel that if games overly rely on things like DLSS, Nvidia doesn't really have to pull their weight much with their cards. Devs have less incentive to actually make their games naturally smooth, like a nice pebble. And instead, the focus will just be on throwing the game over to you like a nice heavy brick through your window. And that's a really valid concern, honestly. Double glazing isn't cheap, but on the subject of glazing, I want to make my overall feelings for the mod clear again, so I don't get accused yet again of caping for Nvidia. I could put up with some weird visual bugs on this mod because, like I said before, it's an event. But what if Half-Life 3, for example, ended up requiring DLSS to run well? Well, I think we'd have quite a problem there. It would feel like an immense betrayal if you ask me. I don't think I'd have the same patience at all for a full product if it felt like this. And if you had an AMD GPU, there may be some other solutions you could possibly turn to, but it would never be the same. Should have brought the right brand, I guess, pleb. And while I think Half-Life 3 will stand by itself, you get the sentiment, right? Somewhere the negative excesses of DLSS could be infecting someone else's Half-Life 3. Like, for example, Garten of Banban 7 or whatever people play these days. And that makes me sad. That's not to mention that Nvidia's business practices have been annoying a lot of people for pretty much as long as I can remember. It's not to say AMD are team good guy or anything, but it feels like the rivalry has been for the most part like something from Looney Tunes, with Nvidia being evil masterminds who sometimes slip up and do something goofy, leaving windows of opportunity for the competition sometimes, while AMD sometimes really knocks it out of the park, but often Team Nvidia's balls are just hitting them in the face to the absolute horror of everyone watching. Team Intel had a stroke 3 minutes into the game, and will not be counted. Even the presentation of this very mod has been criticised. Sure, there are community members involved with this project, but while it wasn't made by Lightspeed Studios, there's still a good few Nvidia employees in there, and some people think that this is a way for Nvidia to hitchhike on the goodwill of Half-Life fans. And yeah, really, if I were a soulless corporation and wanted to target a game with a thriving, active and long-standing community, one that really represents defining gaming history, I'd probably pick Half-Life 2. Lastly, as someone who is as boring as possible and has therefore used parts from all the companies mentioned in this video, okay, apart from maybe Intel Arc GPUs, and has been on the consumer and producer end of graphics, I've overall been on both sides of this discussion, and particularly when it comes to the use of AI assisted stuff, I kinda get it. I still don't think this mod needs to be everything to everyone, but I just want to make sure I'm not coming across as too dismissive. Frame gen, upscaling and AI are just dirty words to some people, and I understand why, but not everyone is going to feel this way. But although I don't like these things, I feel like if the median gamer really cared about quality over convenience, the industry would be a very different place. God, can you tell I'm just itching to make this its own video? But that's all I really have to say about Half-Life 2 RTX for now, and probably for a long time. Is it perfect? No, but I'll be damned if I say it doesn't look better. And with such a responsive team, time and community support, I do believe this mod can reach its full potential. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more. If you changed your mind one way or the other, I want to hear about it. If you have a GTX 980 and you're about to comment, I will